Hey Exiles, how's it going? New day, new build. This is me trying it out so you don't have to, or maybe if you want to. We are back on the Elementalist, and we are giving SHATTERSHARD a go. So this has been in the game for a while, but recently this mace was added, so count as blocking attack damage from the first hit by shield attack, and SHATTERSHARD only goes off when you block. But this way, every time we hit something with shield charge, we basically proc this spell. Now, it's a Fizz spell with an insane amount of base damage, and we are scaling that all up with Heralds, particularly Ash and Purity, but then also all of our Golem buffs. So we have the triple Primordial cluster set up, and we are running Empowered Envoy and Bringer mediums. I have one Purposeful Harbinger here because we have Hatred on Guardian's Blessing. Just a big damage boost for a single target. And then the rest of our tree is pretty stretched out, but just trying to get life, jewel sockets, max res, etc. I'm going for a corrupted soul here and getting a little bit more conversion and leech. Because we are using the Lycia Ascendancy, I had to give up Shaper of Storms. So to compensate for that, we are converting 50% of our Fizz to lightning, and that still gives us a decent amount of shocks. Of course, we are still a Ignite build at the end of the day. This not only gives us damage, but also mitigation. So enemies convert 40% to fire, and then 29% to fire and lightning. So this provides a pretty strong way to protect myself from Fizz hits, especially since I proliferate everything. And then I have a decently thick chest piece with some Fizz reduction and high armor, as well as Fizz shift for the remaining damage that gets through. So this helps me basically with the bigger Fizz hits. We're using Taste of Hate to help mitigate our elemental damage, as well as a Topaz Flask, and we've got decent max. Oh shit, my fire res isn't capped. I need to fix that. But we've got decent max res. And then the big downside with SHATTERSHARD is that you can't block after you trigger it. You gain no defenses from your shield, but you do more damage. So we kind of have to, work around that in different ways. There are some pretty good rune graphs for this build. Rune graph for the warp, just really feel good item. You should run that in every build if you can. Then rune graph of the Sinistral, so more attack speed. And we pair this with Essence of Insanity crafted gloves. So our shield charge has 26 more attack and cast speed on top of all of the cast speed that I get from the rest of my tree. Makes us move nice and fast. I have Windburst in here for the memes. We're scaling global damage, so it's decently buffed up. Poor Man's Barracks for some pops, and then Legacy of Fury, of course, for damage and golems. Nope. So enough yapping. Let's just run a quick map. That's fine. So this is one of the better one-button builds I've played. You just charge around, everything blows up. We use Resolute Technique because we don't crit, and it's better just ignore all mods. So I kind of just charge around, blowing things up, proliferating ignites everywhere, clicking on shrines. Opening breaches. Almost dying.
I need more mana.
One of the biggest things I need to solve for this build is ailment immunity. And I have a couple paths I can take. The most straightforward would probably just be going Shock Avoid, getting a Storm Shroud, getting that taken care of with my boots. I just give up using Legacy Fury, a little bit of damage, but at the end of the day, ailment immunity, right? Alternatively, I could I can't really go back to Tempest Shield or anything like that. But yeah, the Ignite's good. But I do also well, I'm curious about like all damage poisons. I have the Beacon of Madness boots, and you know, we're scaling so much global damage, the poisons would be pretty nasty. But to deal with that, you have to be able to get around all of the debuffs that the boots give you, and without giving up, I think like an amulet slot, which I can't really because of Primordial Chain. You can get maybe 30 or 40% less debuff speed with the Rune Graft and then the Arakali Mastery. So I'm gonna have to do some testing, but you know, obviously the clear is fine, and poison would maybe only help single target, but it's not like I really need much more single target damage, unless I wanted to take this to T17s or something, but I don't think it's nearly tanky enough for that. Alright. So we are kind of cramming a lot of things into this build. We are not only Golem stacking, we're Herald stacking. Lost Unity and Herald of the Hive, pretty cool. So with all the Herald buff effect we're scaling, we're getting probably closer to 10% more damage per Herald, so 6 Heralds, that's 60% more damage. Unfortunately, the aura that it does is basically a nothing burger. Doesn't even kill normal mobs. So yeah, it's basically just for the more damage buff. Aside from that, I think I'm probably gonna farm for a Headhunter next. That'll just be so insane with all this fizz damage. And then from there, we will see how it goes. But I do have these boots, and maybe I'll try to test that out after we get Headhunter. But for now, we're just clapping pretty hard with these. So, pretty fun build. You know, not insignificant startup costs. Playing this on other classes, you know, you wouldn't need all the Golem and Herald bullshit. But I mean, maybe you would go for the Herald stuff instead of Golem stuff if you did this on another class. Saboteur, I think, would actually be pretty cool. Trigger bots doubling the Shattershard procs, and you could go pure cold and the Tull damage ignore thing. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities here, and this is a pretty cool archetype. So I've got a lot of farming to do, so I will post update videos as we go. But thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see everybody next time.